So, Ryan O'Connell's special is back on Netflix for season 2, and this is where we're going to unpack the series. Cue the titles. Hello and welcome back to Special Unpacked, where we provide episode by episode breakdowns of Special, which is the final season of Ryan O'Connell's comedy drama on Netflix. Now, if you're new here, consider subscribing. Let us know as well if you are new. Leave a comment down below. I'm Phil Marriott. Thank you very much for being here. We launched this series, of course, back in January of 2021 with a show dedicated to the brilliant It's a Sin. You can check that out. We'll leave a little card at the end and you can check out all the notes down below in the show notes too. Sean Vickers, how good is it that Special has returned?
It's great, Phil. Hi, everyone. Really happy to be back with Unpacked. I feel like It's a Sin was just around the corner. And we're back with this brilliant second/final season of Special.
So things are a little bit different this time around, because last time we had every broadcast of It's a Sin, we followed that with a live premiere after Channel 4's broadcast, of course. This time it's all on Netflix. It's there, the whole box set is there, so you can binge the box set if you like. But we're doing things different.
And you can binge.
You can tell it's lockdown, can't you? I've got the lockdown brain thing going on. So yeah, we're encouraging you to join us for the live premieres so we can all chat, we can all discuss, share notes, as it were. And it was fun last time when we did that.
It was bloody brilliant. Everyone dived in. You know, I think especially it's easing a little bit, but in lockdown it's nice for everyone to dive onto the thread and have a chat about the episodes. And so yeah, slightly different for Special, but we're still going to kind of follow some of the same rules that we had for It's a Sin.
Definitely. So don't forget to click the notification bell, which will tell you when we are going live with new content, and then you can join us in chat. So the series based on the memoir, which came out, I think, in 2015. Have you read that? I still haven't read that. I need to investigate this from Ryan O'Connell.
Yeah, I'm Special and Other Lies We Tell Ourselves. That's what this is based on. Season 1 was a smash. From what I can gather, you know, I think it was well received across the board, and so yeah, I was thrilled, really excited, and to get into season 2 and start chomping through those episodes.
Absolutely love season 1, so really looking forward to doing this. Do you want to set the scene for those who maybe haven't actually seen the first series? Just set the scene to the characters and the plot.
Yeah, so I'll talk a little bit. Obviously, because what always happens with Netflix is you dive into a second season and you've forgotten the first season, and you spend most of the first episode going, what the hell happened at the end of the last season? Our lead is Ryan, and he basically is the anchor point for the series. He's a gay guy, he's got cerebral palsy, and it follows his life and his friendship and his family. So there's some key people around him, and they have started to refeature in season 2. So we have his best mate, Kim, who is a lol. And we'll certainly get to Kim. She's quite brilliant.
She's my favourite.
Well, you say that, but I am slightly obsessed with Olivia, his boss, who is a special kind of human being. We will definitely come to Olivia. His adorable mum, Karen, and yes, Samantha, his bonkers colleague. Karen has been dating Phil, who's the next door neighbour. We'll come to that. There's a lot that happened in season 1, so I'll recap a bit, Phil. So at the end of season 1, if you remember, Ryan is working at Egg Woke, which is a blog, and he's doing surprisingly well. And he's recently just had the top article on the site where he talks about being in a car accident, and that's why he has a disability or perceived disability. Actually, he's been lying to his colleagues, and it's because he had cerebral palsy. And so he has a big coming out, which Olivia rubs her hands together with glee for more content. And through that, he forms a very special bond with Kim, who is very much featuring in season 2. What we also find is that at the end of season 1, his mum Karen has been dating Phil, the next door neighbour, but there has been some issues, partly because of Ryan, and that has caused Karen and Ryan to become estranged. So as we end season 1, they're not on the best of terms. Also, Ryan brings a birthday cake. We say it's 49 and it's Karen's 50th. Not ideal. So we're coming into season 2. We've got the characters. We've got the lay of the land. And a lot going on in season 2 from the outset.
So brilliantly summed up, because there's so much going on. There's so much to unpack. And that's why I think this is such a great choice for a series to cover. Because The story is amazing. The characters are great. I mean, you really warm to so many other characters in this. But let's start by telling you what this episode is called. It's called One Day Stand. This is written by Ryan O'Connell, so he's launching into the series with his own episode anyway that he's written. Directed by Anna DeCosa, who I think has directed all of the episodes in this series. I think she did with series 1 as well. It's 28 minutes, so a difference already. We're seeing double volume. Because the last episodes were like around about 15 minutes, weren't they each?
Season 1 was snappy. I mean, you almost could consume the entire series like watching a feature.
I did.
So,
I watched it all in one go.
I think a lot of people did. And so it's a little longer. It's we're fleshing out the characters, which I think is cool. I think it's great. A great starter episode. A really great episode 1 in my mind.
With an opening shot of Ryan in his pants.
What else do you want at the start of the series? I love some references to Dawson's Creek. Always. Yes, thank you very much.
Yep.
So Olivia, his boss, has a new boyfriend, and she's very keen to tell everyone that she has a new boyfriend. Ryan and Karen, they're still not talking. Things are still not good.
Yeah, I think it's been a few months, isn't it, that they haven't actually said anything to each other. There is a bit of a rift.
There is, and I think Ryan's feeling a bit low. It's been a while since he was with Carrie. I can't remember how you pronounce his name. Carrie. Tomatoes from season 1, who was his love interest in Squeeze in season 1. So I think he's missing a bit of loving.
Interesting shot of Kim painting her shoes as well.
I think that's really interesting. Yeah, so Kim is there. She's got the red gloss out, and she is embellishing a pair of heels, a pair of pumps, to give it that Louboutin feel.
Yeah, before we say anything else, because I think we've got to start with this. Poonam Patel, I think, is just the friend that I want. She's the friend that I want in real life. And I kind of hope that she's like this in real life as well. I don't know much about her at all. All that I know is that she's been in this series. I've not seen her in anything else, but I love her to bits. She's just adorable.
So good. She's just got something quite fun about her. I do think there's these, with Olivia and with Kim, even with Samantha to some extent, you've got these really strong characters that are around Ryan that really make the show.
I love her facial expressions as well, and she gets the comic timing thing. She does it to a T. She's so good at that. Kim and Ryan obviously still at Egg Woke. I mean, this is such a strange place to work, isn't it? I'm guessing because season 1, I think Ryan was unpaid, wasn't he? He was an unpaid intern.
Then in season 1, because of his article, they took him on as a freelancer. So he is on the payroll. But Olivia's not too happy because there's not a lot of content coming out of Ryan at the moment, and she just wants the clickbait. She's like, write something about your disability. She wants the clickbait, right? So you get that sense that you start on Egg Woke in season 2.
And she's asking everyone if they've been laid. Around the table, where they're all kind of like putting their pieces together, and they're having this meeting.
It's because Olivia has a new boyfriend. She wants to show it off.
She's totally self-centered. I love it. She doesn't give a shit about anybody else. Only to put them down. She wants to hear, about their failures.
Yeah, exactly. Basically, Ryan and Kim are a bit like, how the hell has Olivia got a boyfriend and we haven't? We're going out. Which I think is fair. So they go to this bar, and Ryan plays this really amazing game that I want to play, which is Gay or Kind Eyes.
Yeah, I think that should be question of the day. Have you played Gay or just Kind Eyes?
Kind Eyes. If you have, put it in the comments. If you're that person, I'd love to know if you played Gay or Kind Eyes, because it really made me smile.
The Inspiration Teepee.
Oh yeah, the Inspiration Teepee. Yeah. Haven't you got one?
No, not somewhere I'd want to frequent, to be honest. I'd just rather be a bit vague.
True facts. And so we start to get into some of the relationships that start to blossom. That's all I'm going to say. You and I have obviously seen quite a few of the episodes, so we start to see some of the characters. So we're introduced to a gay guy called Tanner, Max Jenkins, who Ryan meets at the bar, and they definitely have an energy and a connection immediately, which is kind of amazing, but I'm going to leave that there for now.
Yeah.
And Kim goes off to try and hit on someone. She meets this guy called Harrison, who, again, I'm just going to leave that there and say, what do you think about these two?
Well, interesting, because Tanner, I thought this is a really good character because he's showing all the signs of being someone who's really caring, but of course he has a boyfriend. So that could potentially put a spanner in the works. Because I think Ryan seems to find his kindred spirit in a way, because they kind of understand each other well to a certain point. There is, as there has been in series 1, some awkward sex scenes, and that's what I love about Ryan's writing as well, because he's just putting it out there obviously from experience of what, people with CP have gone through. And I just think it's great that he's just telling it as it is. I'm guessing from the book, from his memoirs, that these are experiences that he's had himself.
Yeah.
And, he doesn't shy away from that. I think that's great, because I think, they're clumsy, and those sex scenes are quite, they're quite full on, but they need to be.
Yeah, and I think, no spoilers, some of that spirit of that honesty, brutal honesty about it continues through the episodes. So Tanner's in a relationship with a guy called Richard, but they have an arrangement. And so when Richard's out of town, Tanner's allowed to do whatever he likes. And so Richard is out of town, and Tanner and Ryan hook up, which is mega,
So what do you make of him? Do you like him as a character?
Well, I like their chemistry. Imagine me. That sort of thing I always talk about this. Like, the days of like gays chatting at a bar are a bit over. Like, it is a bit depressing when you go into a gay bar and everyone's on their phone looking at an app when you're in a room full of queer people. I'm a bit like, it's lift your head up, and there was a lovely moment where they're at the bar and there's no phones or apps or anything. They just have this connection, and you realize that they've got banter and
totally
chat.
They're enjoying that moment, aren't they? That connection, rather than being distracted
and you
by
feel
things.
it, and because of that, you're playing the gay or kind eyes, and you're like, he's got kind eyes and he's very gay and he's very warm. So I like Tanner from the offset. I was like, he's really well cast, and I think there's a lovely connection with Ryan.
Yeah, and don't forget he was a backup dancer for Sierra.
There is a really good bit where Ryan is talking to Tanner, and they reference Sky Ferreira. Now, I love Sky Ferreira, so I had this whole like, yes, Ryan, yes, he's so on the money. But not a lot of people talk about Sky Ferreira.
I love that comment.
On my podcast.
I love the comment where Tanner says, "Oh yeah, she's unpredictable because you don't get releases from her." Very often, a bit like Kate Bush. You're waiting 20 years for something.
As I'm going to say to you, as I spoke to you about it on my music podcast, she is like, everyone has been waiting for drops from Sky Ferreira for about 1 million years. And at some point, we're all like, it'll come. We're going to get more material from Sky. So I love that was referenced in the episode. Yeah.
And we see Ryan obviously blogging from home because he's stayed at home, obviously, with Tanner, because they've been enjoying their company. And, he's been doing work from home instead of going in. So, there's that scene where Tanner decides that they need to get some exercise, so he jumps out of bed and they do the exercises, and it's then when Ryan tells him that he has cerebral palsy. And
look, I think Tanner's incredibly respectful. Now, whether that continues in the series, we can talk about that later, but Tanner acknowledges that Ryan has a disability, but he sees beyond it. He's not ignoring it. He's basically saying, "Oh, I was going to talk to you about that," but he's respectful about it, and that respect allows a very open conversation where Ryan feels safe enough to discuss his CP, which I think is really, really important.
He says it's no big deal, we could do something else, and I thought that was really nice. It was totally respectful, because he kind of moves on from that. He doesn't dwell on that. It just gets on with things. And I think that's that's the sort of person that Ryan wants, I think. We also see Ryan's mum, Karen, at her mother's. They're arguing about Ryan and the fact that they haven't seen each other.
What I like about season 2 is that there's a lot about similarities and parallels. So Ryan is more Karen and her mother, or like the way that queer relationships work, straight relationships work, similarities. And I think that for me is what really comes through in this series. I'm not going to say too much more, but I think Ryan does a really good job of writing how society perceives things, even though the combination of people are the same, the vast array of variation that happens in relationships and families and whatnot. So I think that's really interesting. So I do think you're right, Phil. The story of Karen's mother really does come through in the earlier episodes, and that relationship, and actually the impact on Karen and Ryan's relationship in a way.
Totally, and I think he gets that balance of comedy and drama great as well. And sometimes it's a bit of a shock when the drama does come in, because it can be almost like he's pulled the rug a little bit, because you don't expect it to go so dark, and it does. It takes a real twist. But of course, in this episode, we also saw Tanner and Ryan having that conversation about their about their families on the swings in the kids park, and you see Tanner saying that his parents rejected him, and Ryan obviously hadn't known his dad because his dad left when he was a baby. So you see that real serious storyline kind of going against comedy, because it's quite a light and airy episode. I think it needs to be to settle you into the series. I mean, it's not it's not a really dark series because it's quite light entertainment in a way, but it does give you a lot to think about though, which I love.
Yeah, I think it's super clever in that way. It's that takes a skill in writing to be able, because you also make the viewer feel comfortable around the topics that are being discussed. So in some way, even though the majority of the content is light and fun, Ryan O'Connell has this ability to take you into bigger conversations, and when that happens, you're ready to receive that information and learn something and look at human interaction. So I think that's really clever. That's a skill, to be able to dance between those two kind of speeds.
Absolutely.
And he does it really well.
And we see Kim having dinner with Ryan's mum as well. She was quite hesitant about that to begin with. She didn't want to go because obviously there's that rift between Ryan and Karen. But that was quite interesting. They're having stuffed shells, and Kim's, as brutally honest as she always is, and decides that she needs to make a move to get this conversation going again.
Yeah, I think it's just an interesting one. Karen forming a bond with Kim outside of her relationship with Ryan. Obviously, they're estranged, and I think Karen sees Kim as a way of staying close to Ryan to make sure he's okay. And there's some questions about dependency, I think, that comes through as well. It's interesting that also she makes Ryan's favourite dish, which is stuffed shells.
I know.
So yeah. So
pasta.
Yeah, but I do think that I think we should close out this episode talk about Kim, because it's really interesting, because you say it starts with the episode, she's knocking off a pair of Louboutins. She wants to have that glamour. We know from season 1 that she's had money problems, and she meets this guy at the bar, Harrison, who transpires to be a tech millionaire.
Yeah,
so
Charlie Barnett.
Money.
Do you remember him because he was, of course, in Tales of the City, but also Russian Doll, and he was brilliant.
I was going to say he was in both.
Yeah.
Brilliant in both. There's that amazing scene in Tales of the City, the new remake, where he sat at that dinner party as a queer person of color, and it's phenomenal TV. Like the highlight of Tales of the City, the remake, or the recent series, which I thought was a bit of a damp squib, but that was one of the highlights, I think, for me, and that was anchored by him. And then, as you say, he was in Russian Doll, and I loved him in Russian Doll.
Yeah,
it was bloody brilliant.
So he's got quite a bit of money.
Kim's landed on her feet. She's gone back to this palatial pad in LA. This guy's developed some app or some bit of widget,
made his millions,
and he's made millions. So
she's
Kim's
so cynical though. I love that. She's
Yeah.
I don't believe it.
Yeah, she just doesn't believe it. She's like, what a load of bollocks. But that's what I love about Kim as well. She's a bit sure thing, mate. Yeah, right.
Can we also say, obviously, he's there in the doorway of the bedroom with no clothes on, inviting her in. Very confident and cocksure. He doesn't eat carbs, Charlie Bennett. He does not eat carbs. He has got a good body. I'm just going to put that out there. Well,
there's two things there. 1, no carbs. 2, cocksure. Because Kim kind of alludes to the fact that he's definitely cocksure. So I think a brilliant first episode. A brilliant way to break us into season 2. So I loved it. I
Absolutely.
was brilliant. More of this, please. Spot on.
Yeah, me too. I can't wait for the rest of the series. If you've enjoyed this episode of Special Unpacked, let us know. Don't forget to give us a thumbs up as well. And be sure to join us in chat live for the premiere on YouTube. All the details down below in show notes. Thank you so much for watching. Sean, I can't wait for the rest of this season.
Can't wait. It's going to be brilliant.
See you soon, guys. Thanks for watching.